Sam Raimi directed one of my top 10 favorite horror films. That's Evil Dead 2. Let's see if his latest entry into horror can crack my top 100. Welcome to Creepin' It Real. Thanks for joining me. We're talking about Sam Raimi's 2026 Send Help. It's billed as horror comedy, but for me, it was a little light on the horror. There's a couple gross out moments and one jump scare that I really felt was not deserved. Most of it plays as dark comedy and not really horror. I did enjoy parts of it, but I also felt this movie would have landed harder and felt more novel if Hollywood hadn't leaned so heavily on the same female empowerment and girl boss framing we've seen repeatedly over the last several years. Instead of it strengthening the movie, I think it distracted me from it. The Rachel McAdams character should have been someone that all overlooked people could have attached to. Instead, the way she's written comes off as another variation of men bad, women do everything better, which undercuts what could have been a more universal character and relatable to more people. The movie opens with a workplace satire vibe that immediately made me think of 9 to 5, and I love that movie. It is a classic in my mind. It understands tone, it understands balance, it understands consequences, and I think that holds up to this day. From there, Send Help goes into the territory closer to Fatal Attraction and a little bit of War of the Roses. I enjoyed it overall, but it completely missed the mark as a must-see theatrical experience and is nowhere near a classic stature. From box office business standpoint, I don't see this movie losing money. Reportedly, it has a $40 million budget, and over its opening weekend, it made $28.1 million. Even if it has a sizable drop in the next weekend, like 55%, I think this movie is still going to break even. Past that, whether or not it's making money, I don't know. I'm not a numbers guy. But from indicators as far as like Rotten Tomatoes or IMDb, it's getting high praise. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 93% right now, and IMDb has it at a 7.3. And that does differ from my score substantially, so keep that in mind. Now, my verdict, I did enjoy Send Help, but it's not a must-see. It's much better for streaming or maybe picking it up at a library rental, something like that. So I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10, 5 stars. For every mole we got to see on Rachel McAdams' body. Now, don't get me wrong, Rachel is an attractive woman, and I myself suffered from large moles, and I've had several of them removed. In fact, I had one that was right here, and it would always get in the way of shaving, and man, when those things start bleeding, they will bleed for days. We got a bleeder! That's actually a quote from the movie, so that was interesting how that tied in. I had that removed about 10 years ago. And I got to tell you, I think Rachel is in a long-term relationship right now, but life has a way of going places we didn't think they would. We have somebody in our life we think we're going to spend the rest of our life with. That doesn't work out. So I'm just saying, Rachel, if you find yourself in that situation, I'm here. I'm not rich. I can't promise you heat or electricity, but I am an honest man. So if you ever find yourself in that situation and you're looking for an honest dude, I'm here, okay? Before we move on to some spoilers, I wanted to read you my cousin's review. So this is what my cousin AJ says. I'm going 3 out of 10. Was waiting for horror the whole time. Halfway through, I settled for a thriller with some gore. I think that's pretty accurate. I think he summed this way up. I did laugh, but it was mostly because the movie patrons' laughs were making me laugh. The movie definitely hit on the comedy part for the crowd that we saw this with. The overall story was meh, not a rewatch for me. So that's what AJ says. Let's move into the spoilers section of this review. I'm assuming you have seen the trailer. What we have, a business trip from this Fortune 500 company. They're going overseas. The plane crashes and there's only 2 survivors, the boss and this woman. By the time the movie ends, she is just as big of a piece of shit as her boss was. The movie clearly wants you to excuse her actions because of who he is. This is where the moral compass of the movie just breaks for me. And I circle back to the movie 9 to 5. Now, for those of you who are much younger than me, you may not know 9 to 5. That had Dolly Parton in it. And gosh dang it, I can't remember the other two ladies in that movie. But it is such a fun, cute, early female empowerment movie that actually lands because it doesn't cross moral boundaries. That allows the evil person in the movie to get what they deserve without making our heroes villains. And that is where Send Help fails. Just because someone is an asshole or privileged does not justify killing them. The movie wants you to forget this because of who those people are. I can't. There was a time 10 or 20 years ago when this could have played as a nasty, dark comedy where everyone involved was terrible. And that was the joke. In the current climate, this comes off less as satire and more as moral permission. And that's where the movie completely lost me. That's where I'm landing. I did enjoy it. 5 out of 10. My cousin, he didn't enjoy it. He gave it a 3 out of 10, but the majority of people, as you see on Rotten Tomatoes, are giving it a 93%. On IMDb, we're getting a 7.3 out of 10. So most people are liking this. But for me, I'm saying wait till it comes to streaming or rent it at the library. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'm Judah. This has been Creepin' It Real, and I'll talk to you later.